Good morning, Stampers. Welcome to Connect to Create. If you're new to Connect to Create, let me just take a couple minutes and explain to you what we're all about. It is a collaboration between myself, Pat Fairless from Fairless Stamp and Flair, and a good friend and fellow demonstrator, Kathy Ondas from Simply Cards by Kathy. And each week, it's our goal to bring you a video that will either show you maybe a technique you haven't seen before or remind you of an old favorite, or give you some tips and tricks to make your stamping a little more fun. At least we hope we make it more fun. And our goal is here is really to teach you something. So welcome. I'm glad you're here. Today, I'm a little nervous about the technique I'm going to show you. I don't know that I'd even call it a true technique. Maybe it's more of a tip. But it's something different than what I normally have been doing. Normally, I do something that makes a wow statement on your card or a pretty background or something. And today, this is not necessarily going to create a wow, but it is going to give you a solution to maybe an issue that you have sometimes, or add just a little extra something to a pretty card. So I'm calling it mirror image or reflection, and I'm going to show you how to do both. They're done very similarly. The goal of each is different, and I'll show you how to do both of them, and then I'll show you cards that I've made using either a mirror image or a reflection. So let's go ahead and get started, and I'll flip my camera down. So I'm going to start out with the mirror image and show you how to create a mirror image. Now, you're probably thinking, why would I want to do that? Well, sometimes you may have a stamp. I'm going to use this stamp set here, Count on Me, with all these cute little critters. And it doesn't work just for critters, it works for anything. But sometimes maybe the thing you want to stamp is facing the wrong direction. So you could take this little tiny bird here, and if you stamp him, he's going to be pointing to the left, but maybe your card better suits to have him pointing to the right. Or maybe you want two of them, and so you can pretend it's two different little birds looking at each other. So that's why I call it a mirror image. I'm going to show you how to make it so that the image is in the opposite direction of what the stamp is. And I'm going to be using the bear today. So let me grab him out here. And this little bear has a heart on one side, and he is facing to the right as we stamp him. So for the first, and my card has him facing himself or somebody else, a friend. So I'm going to just stamp him the first time facing his normal direction, just so we can kind of have a comparison. Now, I mean, obviously don't need to show you how to do that, but here he is facing to the right. And now I'm going to show you how to make the same guy face to the left. And I am going to use my silicone mat to do that. Now, we used to do this years ago before there was such a thing as a silicone mat. We did it with like a hard rubber brayer, and we would stamp the image, and then we would brayer it, and then you'd have to brayer it on your paper. It was kind of a pain. So this makes it super simple the way we can do it now with our silicone mat. So I'm just going to ink him up. And I still like to ink some of these images upside down. I find I get less ink around the edges when I do that. And I can also see better if it's fully inked. So I'm going to take my silicone mat, and it doesn't matter really where I stamp on here. So I'm just going to stamp them in the middle. And now that has transferred the ink from my stamp to my silicone mat. Now all I need to do is take this little piece of cardstock and lay it very carefully. Hopefully you can see the image on here. You see it? I'm just going to lay this cardstock over that. Try not to let it slide or it'll get blurry. And just rub my finger on here for couple seconds to let it absorb into the paper, pick it up, and there is my little bear facing the other direction. So now I can fussy cut these and put them on a card and have the two bears looking at each other, maybe a cute anniversary card or friendship card, whatever. So let me show you the card that I did with that. I used the Designer Series paper that is in the mini catalog. It's the one that comes with the floral gallery, no, I can't even remember the name of it. And I dressed my little bears up, and I did that with paper piecing. If you saw my video several weeks ago that showed you how to paper piece, you knew then that I had a hard time saying paper piecing, because I keep wanting to say paper piercing. But you can watch that video and see how I did that. It's not hard, and I think you can easily figure it out. You'll just have to, for her dress, you just have to create a reverse image or the mirror image and then use that to make her dress. So I hope you like that card. So that is called Mirror Image. Oh, and you know, I can also see I cut off the little heart. And for the inside, I just kept it very simple and added some of the pieces of Designer Series paper from Country Gingham, I think it's called. They were scraps from what I cut off with my Deco rectangle guys. So I just used them on the inside. Always good to try to use our scraps. So that's my first card. Now, the second one, so now I have this on here, and I'm going to take a damp paper towel and just clean that little bear off. Dry it, good. Now I'm going to show you how to do a reflection, and we basically do it very similar to the way we do a mirror image, but you have to think and plan ahead a little bit more. So in this case, I'm going to show you my card first. I used the Heron Habitat stamp set, and I used the big standing heron to do this with. And of course, he's going to be standing in water, so I want his reflection to show in the water. And here's my card. It's kind of a very soft, pastel-y looking card. And you can see, if I bring this in close, you can see his reflection down here. And so I'm going to show you how I did that. So rather than show you the watercoloring to make his background, I created one ahead of time. So the background for the card is done. I just did that with my water painters and scribbled some color on there. So the way I like to do this is I like to make the reflection first. And the reason I do that is because once I have this reflection, it is much easier for me to align the image I'm actually going to stamp on the card to the reflection than vice versa. If I stamp the image first, then it's a little more difficult to align the reflection. If it works for you better to do the image first and then create your reflection, that's fine. There is no right or wrong way. I just do it reflection first because it's easier for me. So what I kind of like to have, in this case, I made a heron and I die cut it with one of the coordinating dies. And I did that because I wanted to see where I wanted my real image to be in the easiest way, because then I can see kind of approximately where I want my reflection. Now, because this guy is standing in water, I didn't want his feet to show. So on my die cut, to make it easier, I'm just going to snip off his feet. Okay? And then I can kind of see where his legs are going to enter the water. Hopefully you can see that. I can bring that up a little closer so you can see where his legs enter the water. And I'm just going to kind of lay that there. And
get my silicone mat over here. Now my heron is stamped with smoky slate. I kept him nice and soft. And one hint, when you have a reflection, you want your reflection to probably not be as dark as you want your image. And I'll show you a trick on another card that I used to fix that when I got my image a little too dark. So I'm just going to ink him up with smoky slate. Now, because I don't want his feet there, I'm going to take my damp paper towel and I am just going to wipe off his feet. His feet need cleaning. So I'm going to wipe the ink off that. And I'm just using a damp paper towel to do that. I'm going to dry him a little bit so I don't get the water on the paper. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to huff on this because it's been a minute or two to just dampen it up. And I'm going to stamp him on my silicone mat. Now in this case, because with a reflection, I found it's easier because I have to pick him up and turn him over. It's kind of easier to do it near a corner. And now, can you see where he is? It's a little difficult. Hopefully you can see that, but I can see where his feet end. And I want to put his feet somewhere in the vicinity of where the bottom of the feet are here. And I'm just going to lay it there. This is what I mean by it's a little difficult, can be a little difficult to get it lined up. That was just my prop. And now I'm going to press down, give it a few good presses to get the ink to transfer to the card, and then pick it up. Okay, so now I have my reflection. And now I can come back in with my stamp and ink him up again. And don't forget to wipe the feet off, because that would look funny if I had his feet on this time. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to wipe the feet off. Don't have to be real precise where you wipe them. You just don't want his toes showing, right? Hopefully I'm staying in the frame of the camera here. I have a tendency to want to bring it close to myself. All right. Now it's easier for me. This is why I did this. And it's okay to have a little gap if you want. That way, if you have any misalignment, it's probably less easy to see. But it's easier, especially if you have a photopolymer stamp, to actually line this up because I can move it side to side if I need to based on where the image is below. Or I can move it up and down. And that's why I tend to do it in the order I do it in. Okay, so you should go about right there. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Transfer a minute. Okay. And there's my heron. Now, you're probably thinking, all right, he looks a little weird because I can see my sky through him, so he's plain colors. And you're right, it is. So that is why I actually did a partial die cut. And it wasn't really a die cut, it was stamped on a scrap and then fussy cut so that I could lay that over top of this. Okay? And the way I glued him down is I put dimensionals. I'm not going to finish this whole card, but I put dimensionals under his body and then his legs. I just adhered directly to the front of the card. And this is shimmery white. I use shimmery white because of the watercoloring. Not obviously you can use white, regular basic white or whatever whatever you prefer. If you're not watercoloring in the background, there'd be no reason to use the shimmering white. So that is how I make my reflections. I do the reflection first, then I do the top. So here's my card. Bring this up so you can see it. I did add some cattails here. Now, if I wanted to go really crazy, by rights, probably all these cattails should have some reflection, or could have if I desired. I didn't. I thought it was getting a little bit too busy. If I started reflecting every one of those, so I didn't. On the inside, I just stamped him again. I did, just FYI, he is stamped in smoky slate, and then I took a little balmy blue with my water painter and really diluted it down and just gave him a little bit of color so he's not totally gray. Okay, and in reality, I could do that down here as well, or I could have added some to my stamp to have his color down here. I didn't in this case, but I will show you a card where I did use colors down here because obviously, you know, the colors are going to reflect in the water too. And again, don't worry if this one gets a little bit blurry. It's water, water moves, it can be blurry, and it should be a little lighter. So let me show you. So I was talking about colors. I wasn't going to show this card. This is made with an old retired set called Rooted in Nature. But I love this tree, and I made this card probably a year or more ago. I should mail it to somebody, but I haven't done that. But here you can see the reflection. I used the same colors, and I also try to, if I have color in the sky, so here I have kind of bluish greenish color with some yellow in here, purples and blues and some blue, and you can see that I just mirror those colors in the water as well. And here you can see this is lighter than it is up here. It's when you use the silicone mat, it's naturally not going to get as much ink as the stamp that you ink up. So it will kind of naturally be lighter, but some inks like black memento really transfer pretty well. That's why with the two images here, they're both quite black. Now, I could mention, if your image here on a mirror is not quite as dark as you would like it, you can always take, if you've done it in black, you can always take the fine tip of your marker and just kind of darken areas. This one I probably wouldn't. It turned out fine. So this is my last card I'm going to show you. And here you can see the deer is standing here in front of the moon. And in my mind, this is snow, not water. Probably because it was snowing the day I made it. It was the middle of the ice storm, actually, that we had last week when I was making this. But these are all just stamped with black memento. And here I did also mirror the trees and the grass. You can see the grass down here and the deer. Now my deer on this one, he was a little darker than what I really wanted. So a good way to kind of soften these images is you can take your craft white or your white craft ink with a blending brush and just blend over it a little bit. Kathy showed you how to create the mist technique a couple weeks ago, I think that was. And it's similar, it's basically the same thing, just use that white craft ink with a blending brush, and that will soften it out and make it look more like a reflection or a shadow. So those are the cards. So we have this one with Grassy Grove. The inside, I just revamped him with some trees. And this one is with the Heron Habitat. And then this one was with Count on Me. So those are my three cards that I made for you today. The bonus one is this old retired stamp set, Rooted in Nature. I hope you like that. I hope you learned something. I hope it was clear. Let me flip my camera back.
All right. So yeah, I hope that it was clear on how to do it. It's not difficult. The silicone mat makes it so much easier than the way we used to have to do it. And the couple of tips I gave you are just tips that work well for me. Perhaps for you, another method would be just as good. You maybe can visualize where you want your image to be a little better than I can without having to have the prop, which I used for my heron.
And I did the same thing with the deer. I had a deer that I had die cut that I could lay in place to see where I wanted my reflection to be. And then I did the reflection first and then added the deer above it.
So that's how I do it. If you'd like to see any more of these cards where you see the whole card, a couple of them have some fun watercoloring techniques. If you'd like to see one of those done in total, leave me a comment. And we get a few people that would like to see how to do the watercoloring or the complete card on any of the cards I showed you today. Just leave a comment. And otherwise, Kathy will be back next week with another technique. I can't remember exactly what she's doing, but I'm sure it will be great. So until then, everybody have a great week. Thank you for watching.